there's just some words that trip me up, man. So my dad corrected me all the time growing up. He tried. I'm sorry. You're clearly not from here, so I don't like doing it. Like, I'm not wrong. Australia is wrong. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, I'm Yvette and I moved to the UK in 2019 and I'm documenting my experiences. I think we're getting slightly better at the intros, yeah? I have been in the UK for over a year now. It is June, so I've been here like a year and a month-ish, give or take. However, there are some linguistic nuances to British life here, and I am still trying to figure them out. And I thought, maybe ignorantly, that coming from Australia, I wouldn't have had such a hardship with the language. Like, we talk in riddles and have like similar Cockney rhyming slang. So I thought like the absurdity of the language would give me an advantage, like the Australian language, to, you know, bits and bobs, things like that, you know, words that are a bit more creative, shall we say. Americans are very literal. However, there has been a few words that have pronunciation differences. I've been working on changing them because I just think it's respectful to be like, I'm not going to move to, I don't know, Japan and then like get annoyed when everyone else speaks Japanese and I don't know how to speak Japanese. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to try and match everyone so that I'm experiencing everything as good as I can and, you know, getting the most out of the experiences. But there's just some words that trip me up, man. So I thought it'd be fun to do a video on it, just to document it, and then hopefully in a few months or a year or a few years, hopefully not that long, I will be able to look back at this video and be like, haha, look at how strong my accent was, and look at how funny I used to say those words. So these are words that I know the way to say it, but it just, I have to think and I hesitate before speaking. You know what I mean? I'm like, get the word right, you know, one of those. Some of these are how Americans would say the word, some of these are how the Brits would say the word, and Australians sometimes just have a wildcard third answer, which, why not? So we'll jump into it, enough waffle. Number one is the one I have the most problems with. I have to say it a lot for work, so data. So I think I've mentioned this before, but it's still a problem, so I'm mentioning it again. I was listening to a podcast, Hamish and Andy, if there's any Australians out there, and if you're not Australian, I highly recommend you listen to Hamish and Andy. They're very, very funny. I was listening to a podcast from them, and they say the word data, which is how I say, naturally, I say the word data. Now, Americans will say data, and Brits will say data, and Australians say data. And I thought in my head that I just invented data, and it was just me, like, I don't know, finding a weird way to say it, and that I was actually wrong. But I listened to this podcast and I was like, I'm not wrong. Australia is wrong. So in a way it was good, made me feel a bit better. But overall, yeah, I still have to say it a lot for work. I have to analyze data. I have to present data. Even now in the, you know, pandemic response, I'm always talking about the data points, blah, blah. So it's a lot. So I'm always like data, because I don't want to, at the start I used to say it very American, like trying to correct myself. I'd go too far and be like data, I don't know. Anyways, I'm working on it. Data. Another one just feels unnatural to me, but I try and fit in, but it's hard, is vitamin. I want to say vitamin. I argue vitamin is how it's written because it's V-I-T-A, and everyone knows that if there is a consonant, there's a vowel, consonant, vowel, you use the, you know, formal letter. Is that what it's called? I'm not very good. It's been too long since I was in school, but you know what I mean? Like A-R, use A, or E-I. And because there's an A after the T, I think it sounds like an I, like vitamin. So that's how I rationalize it. But I know the Brits say vitamin, or paracetamol is another one. I want to say paracetamol. Yeah, this trying to, it just doesn't flow. It just sounds more like vitamin. It sounds like smooth. Vitamin is like, is that crazy? And same with paracetamol, whereas like paracetamol. So yeah, I just have trouble with the cadence of the words, but I know I'm trying to do it the right way by the Brits, but it's not easy. And I don't want to be like, I need more vitamin C. Or if I say I need more vitamin C, people look at me and they're like, you're clearly not from here. So I don't like doing it. Another one that I honestly just feel very pretentious for correcting myself, so I actually don't, but I say schedule, but I think the Brits say schedule. And I like to say, this is just the Australian in me, is I'll be like to Daniel, like, what's your schedule for the week, next week, for work, for meetings? But because we ask this every week, I'll say, oh, what's the schedule for next week? Which I don't know if you can call that a Aussie slang, or I think that might just be Yvette slang. It's not really a thing. I just say like the usual instead of usual, and like sked instead of schedule. But you can't say what's the schedule. It doesn't make sense. What's your schedule for next week? It doesn't flow as well. So I have trouble with that one. But I don't know, schedule just sounds like very posh, and I feel like I'm being someone I'm not when I'm trying to be extra posh. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Is it a posh thing to, maybe I'm wrong, you guys can correct me. Maybe schedule is like, it could be regional, because obviously the UK has so many different accents. It wouldn't surprise me if the pronunciation varies as well. So maybe I'm not as out the loop if I say schedule, because I have trouble saying schedule. Schedule. I also feel a bit like Michael Caine. Not Michael Caine. Who's the other one? No, Sean Connery. That's what I sound like. Sean Connery. The next one is 100% a me problem, not an Australia or a you problem. It's when you're doing the alphabet and you go X, Y, and Z. I say X, Y, and Z. That's just wrong. I know it's American, but it's not even Australian. Australians should say Z. My dad corrected me all the time growing up. He tried. I'm sorry. The problem is Z just rhymes. And when you're a kid, that's how you learn. You're like, you know, twinkle, twinkle, and A, B, C is like a rhythm. X, Y, and Z, like it's like a more of a, you know, phonetic sounding thing. I don't know. I know I'm wrong, and the amount of times this happens at work, if I'm like reading out like, you know, a barcode or something, I'll be like S, H, Z, 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 Z. And I'm like freaking out, and they're like, it's all right, calm down. So I still struggle with that one. Like, it's that thing of like, you're just so ingrained, because it's probably out of all the words, even though Z's not a word, but you know, this is the one I've probably said the longest, in that it was when I learnt my alphabet. So I've been literally saying this since I was like 2 to 3 years old. I don't know, how old are kids when they learn alphabet things? But yeah, I'm still struggling, but I'm trying. So this is one I only just figured out about. The next one is that, so in Australia, when there is a break in your TV show and they put things, I can't say the word. I can't say it without saying the word. Like Americans would say commercial. We don't say commercial. We would say ads. You guys say adverts, but I would say advertisement, and you would say advertisement. See what I mean? There's so many, maybe that's because Australians are just like super lazy and our accent just like mumbles together. So I'm like, there's so many like extra inflections in the word. It's like, it's too much. So much work. So you guys say advertisement or advert, but we would say ad or advertisement. Not advertisement, that's it. See, I'm still already stuffing it up, but you get the gist. It's hard. I've definitely assimilated easier for saying advert, like the Christmas adverts. It's still like, I still got to really think about it just for the sake of the video. I'm still like advertisement. I feel like a robot. Advertisement. The next one I say wrong, and I'm trying, but God knows, is privacy. Brits say privacy. Once again, this feels like the schedule feels very posh. Say privacy. That's how in my head I hear that. You know, you're like, the Queen needs her privacy. Like that's the only context I can't imagine. But maybe, yeah, I wonder if there's like a similar like sound that I keep picking up on that's hard for me to adjust to. Like maybe it's the I sound. I don't know. But it's the same problem. I feel way too posh if I say privacy. Like I sound like I'm mocking someone. I don't like that. Next one is, I'm already struggling, route. So if you're saying, oh, the route to the hospital is blah blah blah. I think I may have mentioned this in another video, but it's worth mentioning again for the sake of you guys and any, you know, if you go holidaying in Australia, don't get offended. So R-O-U-T-E, route, and they say router, like for the the internet box, the router. We say route or router, and the reason that is because root means sex, and not even like marital loving sex, but or even like girlfriend boyfriend. It's like on a night out, one night stand level of intercourse. It's not a nice, like, it's semi-misogynistic term to be like, oh yeah, I rooted her. Like, it's not. Do you see what I mean? It's hard for me because I don't use that terminology. Like, I find it quite crass, so I don't say it. So it's hard for me to take a word I find quite crass and use it in a context. Although not crass, it's just hard for me not to like, I'm like, root? It's like as if someone told you to say the C word, but say it to like describe a color on the wall. And you're like, I can't. I've been trained not to. It's hard. Another one is not so much a pronunciation, it's just terminology. In May, we had a lot of bank holidays. In Australia, they're called public holidays. Sometimes I'll call them public holidays here, but pretty much it's known as a bank holiday. Bank holiday weekend, bank holiday day, bank holiday Monday. It's a public holiday weekend, public holiday Monday, Friday, whatever it is. And it's just one of those things that I'm like, I'll kind of change who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to someone at work, I'll probably say bank. But if I'm talking to Daniel, I will say public because he's Australian. Do you know what I've realized? Side note. My work involves a lot of Zoom calls. So it's like death by Zoom at the moment. However, if I'm on calls all day with my work colleagues, I'll come off and I'll start sounding more British. I'll be pronouncing more. I'll be enunciating my T's, which is what Australians don't do. And then on the weekend, I'll spend my whole day with Daniel, and then I'll come back Monday being like, yeah, nah, good day. And be like full Aussie. So isolations, even though I'm in the UK, is somehow making me more Aussie just because I'm isolating with an Aussie. Last but not least, this isn't too like risque, but worth mentioning because I keep getting it wrong, is that what you call a vest, we call a singlet, and what we call a vest, you call a waistcoat. Yeah, hope that makes sense. So when you're talking like a vest, to me that's, yes, okay, the way I can explain why this is so confusing to me is that when you say vest, you mean like a casual singlet. Yeah, like you're going to the gym, you're wearing your vest. To me, it's formal wear. So when you say that, my first image is like going to dinner or going to a formal event or a wedding with a waistcoat on. So when you're like, I'm going to the gym in a vest, I'm like, you're going to gym in a waistcoat? Like, it's really confusing. So that I struggle with. So like, it's easier for me to say, oh, are you gonna wear a vest, a suit and a vest? It means like a waistcoat. And then a singlet is what I would call, what you call a vest, I would call it singlet. I'm going to the gym in my singlet. You would say vest. Tell me, do you actually say singlet at all, or is that just a word we use? Because I haven't actually heard it, I don't think, so maybe it's not a word here. So there you have it. They're my list of British words I still struggle with. Some of it's pronunciation, some of it's just a whole different word. But hopefully I will get better. It's only been a year. Probably should be better at it, to be fair. But 3 of those months I was locked in my house, so I think I should get some sort of leeway. Tell me in the comments below if there's any of these words surprised you, or if you think there's other ones that I'm missing, like paracetamol. Is there another one in that category? Because I reckon there's so many like that. Remember to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, because it helps me a lot. And remember to hit subscribe so I can see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.